The commitments we make to each other through Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, these things do not sap our initiative, they strengthen us. They do not make us a nation of takers, they free us to take the risks that make this country great.
That was President Obama this week during his inaugural address, trying to deal with recent debates over, quote, makers and takers in this country. The president defending entitlement programs, saying they are essentially a hand up and not a handout. And now there are growing questions over the true impact of the explosive growth of these programs and what it is having on our country, the impact it's having. Joining me now, Ben Ferguson. He's the host of The Ben Ferguson Show, and Julie Roginski, who's a former political advisor to New Jersey Senator Frank Lautenberg and a Fox News contributor. So if you look at the statistics, Ben, there was an interesting piece by Nicholas Eberstadt in the Wall Street Journal recently, and he talks about how in 1960, social welfare programs accounted for less than a third of all federal spending. Today, it accounts for nearly two-thirds of federal spending. Welfare spending is nearly twice as much as defense, justice, and everything else Washington does combined.
It's incredible. I mean, you look at these numbers and you look at our United States government, and what we really are now is we are a big country that takes from workers and gives to those that do not want to work. And there's a big difference between those that are disabled, because that's what you're going to hear Barack Obama and others talk about. Well, we're helping people that need help. I'm in favor of that. But when you've got 8% of men in their 30s who are opting out of going to work just because they don't want to go, and then we pay for them not to work, I mean, that's a huge problem in this country, because we are now allowing people to make bad decisions, which is what's great about America. I mean, the fact that I can choose not to work is what's awesome. But the problem is I'm now, as a worker, held accountable to take care of a human being who is being an idiot, who is not disabled, and that's what's sucking us dry here. Is we've made it acceptable for you to not work and someone else pays for it, and we're going to run out of my money and other workers' money.
There's no question, Julie, that there are abuses of the system. But as far as, let's just say, Social Security and Medicare, I mean, I know our viewers always say, look, that's not an entitlement. I paid into it. Yeah. And everybody who gets a pay stub sees, oh, Social Security and Medicare. Whoa, yeah. I am paying. I'm paying into the system right now. And when it's time, I'm going to get paid back, they tell me.
Yeah.
Sure I am, but that's what they say.
I hope so. Fingers crossed we're going to get paid back. But yeah, I mean, look. There's a huge difference here between, you know, I'm not really sure what Ben's alluding to, but we're talking about the entitlement programs here that cost a lot of money. It is primarily Medicare, which I pay for every single week, whether it comes out of my payroll check, through payroll taxes, Social Security, which I pay for, and Medicaid, which quite honestly pays for the majority of the people here in nursing homes, all of whom have also paid into the system over the course of all these years. That apparently is the big number, well, the Medicaid payments, according to this article. I mean, according to this Wall Street Journal piece, he says only a third of the Americans receiving this monies are seniors who are getting Social Security and Medicare. He says the rest are so-called means-tested entitlements like Medicaid. Medicaid, quite honestly, is not, you know, people think Medicaid are people who are just living off the government dole. Medicaid pays for the majority of people going to nursing homes, for example. So, you know, these are our grandparents. These are
but that's
my
not
grandmother.
Where all the money's going.
Go ahead, Ben.
But I'm in favor of your grandmother getting the money that she paid into. The problem now is you have people that have figured out how to work the American system, and they go to a doctor and they say, my back hurts. And they say, well, okay, then we'll try a couple different treatments. And they go, oh, it's still not better. Or even better than that, the #1 claim of 40-year-olds that are going on disability is mental anguish of, I'm just too sad. Well, guess what? Go be sad and go to work. I mean, that's abusing the system when we allow people to claim that they're just too sad to go to work. That has nothing to do with mental health. And when you see these numbers skyrocketing over the last decade with how many people are signing up this way, that's when you know it's a loophole and we're not fixing it. I don't understand why.
There used to be more of a stigma, and I'm accepting Medicare and Social Security from this for the purposes of this discussion, Julie, but there used to be more of a stigma of taking, you know, welfare, of taking disability checks when maybe it was questionable about whether you truly needed it or deserved it. Has that been removed?
You know, I don't know. If we're talking about something like mental health, I think we just learned, and we've been talking about on this show and other shows for weeks now, that mental health is something that's not a joke. You know, I want to address that before you go to work with an AK-47 and blow me away. But I will also say this. I don't know where you think this massive explosion in the federal debt is because of people who refuse to work and are just sitting at home eating bonbons. And, you know, there may be a few people like that, but the majority of this, you know, these entitlement programs are going to pay for legitimate people, seniors and others who've paid into the system, who are now retired, and frankly, I'd rather those people have the health care they need.
Julie,
so I have those health care going down the line, of course.
You know what? I got to run because we're coming up
right.
against the break. But there's no question we need some reform. I mean, they're going to have to raise the retirement age for the younger folks like us, or they're going to have to do something, because either way, we're going to run out of money. So we're going to get that Social Security. We're going to get that Medicare. We'll see.
Fingers crossed.
All right, Ben, Julie, thank you.
Thank you.
Just ahead, a look